This has been going on for a week and a half or so, but this controversy about the next Assassin's Creed game continues because they have chosen a protagonist. This game has, been asked for a very long time. People have wanted an Assassin's Creed game in this era of Japanese samurai for so long, and they decided the perfect way to do it was to cherry pick a very obscure historical figure because he was black, not Japanese. And not only that, they're also hinting that he might be gay.
Hinting, yes.
That you could possibly choose to make him gay in the game.
Let's read the quote.
Well, it's unclear, but I looked at this blog post and it says, Naoe and Yasuke's disparate personalities lead them to have different relationships and rapports with other characters, and they don't always feel the same way about people, nor do people always feel the same way about them. Romantically, they will also attract and be attracted to different types of people. Through the pair, players will get to experience a multitude of relationships.
That was a corpo slop term if I've ever seen one in my entire life.
It was definitely corpo slop. It just sounds like it was possibly written by AI, because how you say that many words and not communicate a single damn thing.
He was the character was in real life was a Christian missionary, right?
Yeah, so I read into the backstory, and don't hate me if I get anything wrong, but basically he was possibly from Mozambique, but he was black, and he traveled to Japan with Jesuit Christian missionaries. Then they met up with this Japanese feudal lord of some kind.
Nobunaga.
Yes, that was his name. Doesn't really matter. And this Japanese guy took a weird fascination in him because of his skin color and kind of showed him off like a prop. Eventually, they got to know each other a little bit, and then he made him into a weapon bearer, basically. Not a samurai. There is no evidence that he ever went through training in martial arts. There's no evidence that he ever fought in any battles. And honestly, I don't even think there's evidence that he learned Japanese either. But he was just a weapon bearer, and I guess you would call a page, a cart boy is something you said. But there's no evidence that he fought in battles. And basically, they're cherry picking parts of the historical fact to fit a narrative that is just as fictional as Wakanda in order to make this game trendy and DEI friendly. And fans are not a fan of that. Like they asked for this specific era to be covered in the franchise, and they were expecting something that actually fit the historical narrative, and that's not what they were given in the product. And it's still months and months out from coming out. That's coming out in November, and the response has been terrible. They're allegedly getting review bombed before the game is out. I think that they're referring to getting ratioed. On YouTube,
that's really
they posted the trailer and got massively ratioed with 586,000 dislikes compared to around 263,000 likes on the trailer. And I think that this is just like one of many stories of
preview bombed.
This is one of many stories of like outrage marketing.
Yeah.
Because I think that's what they were going for. Like, how could you expect anything else as a reaction to
I don't
this?
know. Like, I think if you had done this 10 years ago, the reaction would have been very different.
What would it be then?
I just don't think that the culture has kind of eroded around these types of things now so badly because of DEI initiatives and because of the desire to constantly subvert expectations, which is worse now than it's ever been. That it's a wound that is more rubbed raw than it's ever been in this industry.
So people would have had a positive reaction to this.
I just
10
think
years ago?
less negative. Maybe I'm underselling the time period. Maybe 15 years ago, it wouldn't have
15.
mattered as much as it does now.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, I came across this think piece that was talking about how the culture war has ruined fandoms. And it is coming from the perspective of someone defending choices like these, which is stupid. But they had some good points because they said, haters of a franchise used to be the ones who used to love the franchise.
I mean,
and now the haters seem to be the ones who found out about it the second that a controversy arose.
My issue with that is like if you take Star Wars, for instance, the people who were the most vocal about pushing back on Disney Star Wars were longtime fans of the franchise, and they were always defamed and called fake fans for not accepting whatever corporate slop Disney shoveled down their face.
True, but I'm sure there are also people like me who jumped into the conversation not having been a fan of a certain franchise and just taking notice of the fact that it was getting dismantled and destroyed on purpose by corporations.
Because your interest is in the cultural element of it rather than the franchise itself.
I don't know. I'm not saying this is like outrage that I'm expressing. It's just like, am I allowed to take note of that and comment on it because it's relevant? It's happening in so many different examples.
I've been noticing.
It's true though. And they're the ones calling attention to it. If they just made the product that the fans had been asking for years,
they also gaslight
this would have never happened.
They gaslight you and say that for noticing, you're the problem.
Basically.
Yes.
Yeah, but it's true. Like, they're saying the culture war has made everyone into trolls, and the whole world is their bridge. And while hate has always been in fandoms, at least the people involved actually cared about the fandom. That made it easier to talk to them or ignore them.
Doctor Who is a really interesting case of this right now because the most vocal people in that world that dislike it are longtime fans, because it's not like Doctor Who is the type of Doctor Who is as big as it is not Star Wars. But the people that love it really love it. And when they see what's being done to it, not just by Disney as a corporation or the BBC, but by the people who actually made it popular back in its heyday. And so they look at what it was like early days. They look at what Russell T Davies was able to create before, and they look at what it's becoming now, and they have questions, and they have a right to have those questions. And their dislike of the current product doesn't make their love of it beforehand any less real.
Yeah, like Doctor Who is probably just one of the most brazen examples of a franchise like that just getting completely destroyed. But I feel like some aspects of this get blown out of proportion. I think the gay part of the Assassin's Creed controversy is totally blown out of proportion.
But the problem is they've done this to themselves by making it something. Again, it is a
leaving
cut.
it open ended.
It is a cut
I guess
that is so open now that by the time it heals a little bit, it takes nothing to reopen that wound. So people are very, very quick to push back on anything that feels out of left field or wrong about these types of things.
Yeah, they're leaving it open ended, which is a mistake. But I don't think that statement in and of itself implies anything, really. But maybe people who are more familiar with the way these games work would tell me. I played a couple of the different Assassin's Creed games, and I think one of them was like the pirate one, and I forget the other one. But I don't remember there being any relationship options in them. That's not even a thing. Maybe they just decided to add that.
This stuff is far more is just as prevalent in movies and television, and people are sick of it. And you're never gonna get past this now. And it is the type of thing that's only gonna get worse as they move closer and closer to nothing but IP being created. Like Fall Guy fails. There's nothing new under the sun. You're not going to get anything new. The stuff that is new gets no budget and it will release. We watched a trailer for a movie coming out about a child with autism called Ezra that looks, for all intents and purposes, like a pretty wholesome story, right?
Sure.
And it's not going to make any money, and it's not going to do any numbers.
I disagree because I think they had a really good cast.
I like Bobby Cannavale.
They had a good cast.
The actor who's playing the lead, the dad, is a great actor. The problem
How the heck do you get Robert De Niro in a movie like that?
I mean, Robert De Niro, it's not like he's like...
I just thought it could be relatable to enough people now that it could do well. But you're right. Like, for the most part, like when we were at the theater last night, I looked down at this hallway of these cardboard displays they put up for the new movies that are coming out. And it's like Quiet Place prequel, and it's Inside Out 2, and it's
Quiet Place prequel.
sequel after sequel after sequel displayed right in front of you, and then there's If.
And nobody's going to see it.
And no one's gonna go see If. Like, even though Ryan Reynolds is in it, no one's gonna go see it. And that's just sad. But like, going back to this, obviously rewriting history to make yourself feel warm, fuzzy feelings is stupid, and they're not going to learn their lesson.
No. And people are sick of it, and it's not going to get any better. But the funny thing is
Love our show. It's never going to get better. Everything is just going to get worse.
Let me rephrase that. So when it comes to movies, or in this case, video games like AAA titles, it will not get better within the context of those structures. So independent films, smaller video games, yes. It will open a market for people who are going to naturally want to fill the needs of people who want to see things that don't lean into these types of initiatives. So don't look to those mainstream movies for the fix. If that is your problem, if it is like, look, we have to go see a lot of movies, right? And for the most part, I can find something fun or interesting or enjoyable in just about everything we go watch. But a lot of people don't have the patience. They're not going to want to spend the money on that, especially with video games. This game's going to cost like what, $130 or something?
Whoa,
like
that's
$100 or
crazy.
$130, right? Like, look, people are going to look for it elsewhere. And as technology improves and games become easier for people to make, as movies become easier for people to make and distribute themselves, there is a market to be filled for people who just don't want to be insulted by Hollywood. Luckily, part of our job is to have our intelligence insulted by Hollywood. So we have to go and make the best out of what we do with the movies that we watch and things like that. And I have no problem with that. That's fine. A lot of people don't have the time or the inclination to do that. So there is a market to be filled by other people.
Thanks for watching. Listen to full episodes of Pop Culture Crisis on Spotify.
Keep up with us on social media and make sure you subscribe and ring that bell so you never miss the show. Bye, guys.